China, on China's third and fourth periodic report on the Convention on the Rights of the Child, and on the second periodic report of Hong Kong SAR and Macau SAR respectively. I hereby declare meeting number 1834 of the Committee on the Rights of the Child open. And without further ado, I will just leave the floor now to his distinguished head of delegation. But before doing that, I would like to remind the audience that this is a serious meeting. There was some noise or something yesterday, so we would like you to behave according to this being a serious and formal meeting. Thank you. Then I give the floor to the head of delegation, his distinguished head of delegation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I thank all members for raising their questions yesterday. The questions were very comprehensive in nature. So we had a very good evening of work yesterday. This morning, Madam Chair gives us 2 hours and a half to answer questions. So we made a distribution of time with my colleagues from the two regions. First, the delegation from mainland China will probably take 1 hour and a half or 1 hour and 20 minutes. And two SARs will have half an hour each. According to instructions of Madam Chair, we directly go to answering of questions. Yesterday, the rapporteur and member Herzog, Mr. Herzog, raised questions concerning the coordination of departments and the bodies for the implementation of the convention, and another question concerning the responsibility of guardianship of parents and the quality of child raising. Now, I'll ask the State Council Working Committee on Women, Children, Madam Song Wenzhen, to answer the questions. Thank you, Madam Chair, and to the rapporteur on your questions. First, concerning the coordination of implementation. According to the division of responsibility of the central government and local governments, over 30 bodies are responsible for implementation of the convention. The work of implementation can be divided into the different bodies and coordinate the work. China has formulated 3 programs for development of children since 1992. From effective of implementation through coordination of different departments, we strengthened the responsibility of government, and the results can be reflected in the following aspects. First, we established a working mechanism with the government taking the lead and support from different bodies. My organ is responsible for implementation of the convention, and it has sufficient legal status. In the law on protection of women and children, it pointed out that my committee is responsible for supervision guidance for the work in this area. There are 35 bodies that make up the coordination body. Provinces, localities, counties also have committees to coordinate children's cause, and also under the leadership of the government, different departments carry out their coordination. I'll give you an example. For instance, for the compulsory education supplement of nutrition, this is guided by the State Council, and it concerns the departments of finance, education, development, health, and food quality monitoring, and other bodies. Therefore, through this kind of mechanism of putting efforts from different bodies, we can strengthen cooperation among different departments and focus on solution to major issues. Secondly, concerning the implementation of the program of development for children, it is integrated in the plan for the overall development of the country. In the 11th and 12th economic social development plans, the implementation of the program for the development of children has been incorporated so as to advance the protection of children and the growth of children. Thirdly, we have the system of responsibility. The program has 55 objectives and 67 measures. Through focusing on the objectives of the program, the tasks are already distributed to 44 governmental departments, and there is a system for evaluation to check whether these objectives are attained. Fourthly, concerning the reporting system of implementation of the program for development of children, the bodies involved in Working Committee on Women and Children at least once a year report to the committee and the government the situation of implementation of the program for the development of children. Fifthly, we established the system for evaluation and monitoring for the program. The working committees at different levels for women and children have appraisal and evaluation bodies every year. They carry out annual evaluation, and for the 10-year program, every 5 years we have a midterm evaluation. After 10 years, we have a final evaluation. In order to proceed smoothly with evaluation, we established the indicators for evaluation. At present, we have 34 items, quantifiable indicators, and established the statistical reporting system on women and children, and also a data bank. Central government and local governments every year guide these evaluations were guided by the leading cadres of the governments concerned. So much is my answer to the two questions. Thank you. Another question I also thank the member for raising the question of enhancing capabilities of parents for child raising. Paying attention to family education is a good tradition of the Chinese people. In 2006, we amended the law on protection of minors. For the first time, family education is confirmed as having a role of guidance in the educational reform outline. And the 2011 to 2020 plan for development, family education was reflected as an important content and objective. The outline plan pointed out that it's necessary to establish a family education service system that suits development of urban and rural areas, and also further enhance the quality and the education of parents so as to improve family education. At present, the government is actively promoting the incorporation of family education into public service system of the government. Now, China established 4,000 guiding bodies for family education. The bodies in charge of such work implement the outline for the implementation of family education and also hold meetings to promote family education.
Herzog would like a follow-up question.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. May I ask you, what is the content of this family education and how is it conducted? So who are running these programs and what are you teaching to parents? Thanks.
Microphone, please. Microphone for the speaker. The state pointed out that the responsible bodies are Ministry of Education and All China Federation of Women. The main content of education is that we formulated the guiding plan for family education. It includes methods concerning child raising, knowledge, and the capability of parents for guardianship, and so on. At the same time, we fully utilize the role of schools and communities to carry out family education. For instance, in each school, we have a parent school, and regularly call on parents to come to school to carry out guidance and counseling work. And communities have family service centers through the work of volunteers and experts to guide the parents of children living in the community to increase their capabilities for child raising.
Do you have any specific programs to teach them to raise their children without the use of corporal punishment? Any alternative means of raising the children instead of physical disciplining?
In this area, we pay great attention to such issues. According to the Chinese tradition, some parents are influenced by old concept. They think that spare rod, you spoil the child. So we try to change such erroneous mentality of parents, so that parents can understand the rights of children, respect their rights, and carry out exchanges with children on equal footing and prevent corporal punishment.
Have a lot of training for social workers that who do these programs. Is it social workers, and are they trained to do this? And also I would like to know about the cultural sensitization of the social workers. Can they interact with different families of minorities, etc.?
Concerning social workers, at the moment, the Chinese government is strengthening the construction of public service system. So in the service to children and family, social workers are very important. In our civil affairs departments, we have formulated the plan for development of social workers. For the moment, our social workers are in great shortage and cannot satisfy these needs. In some communities, there's perhaps only one social worker, and in some communities, only volunteers play the role. So through their work, we pass the knowledge for child raising. Also, we through the training of key personnel by all China Women's Federation and other bodies, we train the trainers so that the children and families in the communities can be provided with service. Madam Chair pointed out just now that concerning the corporal punishment issue, she seeks further clarification. I think for corporal punishment, there are very few cases now, because in China, normally there is only one child in one family, so the children are very cherished. I have an 18-year-old son who has entered university just now. In the past 18 years, we never touched him once. So now it's a different era. I think this corporal punishment doesn't pose a problem now. Madam Chair, if you allow, yesterday some questions concerned education. Concerning the education for children of left behind children and preschool education, I would like to ask Mr. Ke Chenghui from Ministry of Education to answer the questions.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson and all members, and thank you for your concern on education. Yesterday, Madam Chairperson and all members raised about a dozen questions on education. We have categorized them, and according to the request of the head of delegation, I will just respond to two questions at this moment. One is the education on the left behind children and on early childhood. And the other questions, maybe I will leave to other colleagues and in combination with other questions to respond to your query. One is on the left behind children of migrant workers. Or we can say that these are the children of the migrant workers, migrant peasant workers who go into cities to seek employment. Those who are aware of the situation may know that we have many policies and many documents. And usually we say that these are migrant workers into cities. The education of their children is an issue that has appeared in the urbanization of China, industrialization of China as well. And this is also due to gap between urban and rural areas, and due to the household registration system, because there were two tracks registration between the urban and rural areas. In China, every year there are 200 million migrant workers. So there are millions of left-behind children. These children, some are accompanying their parents into the cities, but most of them are left behind. According to the latest statistics, at present, we have more than 61 million actually, of left-behind children in rural areas. China pays high attention to the solving of education issue for these left-behind children, and for this we have devoted huge efforts. Basically, there are two areas. One is that we have elaborated many policies and we have improved the existing policies. Starting from the 1990s, the education of left-behind children was incorporated in the public policies. And at first it was restriction, and then it was turned to protection and equal treatment. In 2003, the State Council has released the policy on some opinions regarding improving the education for left-behind children. And according to these opinions, there are policies on the compulsory education for these left-behind children. One is to put emphasis on the inflow places, on the governments, local governments of inflow places. And two is to lay emphasis on the public primary and secondary schools of the inflow places. So these are the main elements in this policy. So,
for the interpreter, we don't understand the word inflow places. What is it? Could the interpreter please explain, because he's using the word again and again, and inflow places or inflow places?
I will try to respond. This the Chinese inflow places means that that the children have accompanying the parents to go to the cities. So it's the places where their parents are. That means it's the cities where their parents are currently working and residing. And the interpreters may specify that this comes from the official document. Secondly, the central government has devoted more resources for the education. In areas which is more developed economically, we have used the policy of equal treatment with local children for these accompanying children. So through various efforts, the migrant workers' children, their education issue is basically resolved. Last year, there are 13 million children, accompanying children of migrant workers who received education in cities, and more than 80% received their education in public schools. Together with the solving of education issue for accompanying children, for those children left behind in rural areas, many other government agencies and NGOs and social bodies have paid attention to their education, and care and concern have been strengthened on these children left behind in rural areas. We have set up a mechanism with the government as the lead and with different stakeholders taking part in the care of these children left behind in rural areas. For the left behind children in rural areas, together with other rural children, they receive the compulsory education, and many of them receive vocational training. And I would like to also stress that there is a key issue of accompanying children when they finish the compulsory education in the cities. What is after? So after the resolving of compulsory education of accompanying children in cities, now we have the issue of their progression in the education system and what to do with them after the compulsory education stage. According to the original policies, they should return to their original residence area to take part in entrance exam for universities and to seek employment. But now, many people think that this is unfair for the accompanying children. So that is why more and more voices have been raised in favor of them, and this has received high attention by the government. In recent years, we have made serious and in-depth study on this issue. Last year, the State Council has released a guidance from the Ministry of Education on the opinion of accompanying children taking part in university entrance exams in cities, and asking all local governments to elaborate the concrete implementation plans for this. Up till now, the 31 provinces and departments, Tibet apart, have already released the implementation regulation. So starting from this year, in 26 provinces and regions, we have already resolved the accompanying children's education problem after the compulsory education period. And there are also 8 cities doing more works in this area. Now, I would like to touch upon the early childhood education, or preschool, or preschool education.
It seems you are improving the situation of the migrant children. When you talked about entrance into tertiary or university education, is somebody else going to talk about this? Because there is a problem of the Uyghurs who will not be allowed into university because of a regulation that you have saying that if they opposing the fundamental principles of the Constitution or join an evil cult organization. Is that something you could comment on? I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm mixing up. It's the Falun Gong. I was just saying the wrong word. It is not the Uyghurs. Oops. Yeah. Then it's possibly understandable. Yeah, for the cult part of this that I just mentioned. Can you explain this, or is it for somebody else?
I think this will be left to other colleagues to respond on the cult. Madam Chairperson, just now you touched upon the issue of education of children of Falun Gong practitioners. I think this can be divided into two aspects. One is to determining this nature of Falun Gong itself, and then the children of Falun Gong practitioners, will they be impacted or affected? Will their education be affected? I think there are two issues. I think the question is that there will be no impact on them. Children have the right to education, and they are being treated on an equal footing and will not be affected due to their parents being a Falun Gong practitioner.
Will we continue on this later on? Because this was the parents, but would if the child, him or herself, was a Falun Gong practitioner, would they be influenced? And Ms. Oviedo.
Sí, es justa.
Yes, I wanted to ask a question along the same lines as what you just said, Madam Chair. I don't know when you will be answering the questions which were put yesterday with respect to the freedom of religion and also violence, including torture. The head of delegation is following an order, but I'm concerned because these were questions which were previously put to the answers you're giving us now, and they've arisen on 2 occasions. So I'd just like to know when you are envisaging answering those questions.
There are many questions raised yesterday, and we have categorized them, and they touch upon 50 areas. We have made a detailed categorization of these issues and grouping, so we may not strictly follow the order of questions being raised. Just now, the question on religion or on ethnic minorities, we will, in connection with your questions, we'll group them and give you a grouped answer. Thank you. Now, so I will continue to respond to the preschool education and or early childhood education. Preschool education for a long time has been an area of deficit in China, and with gross enrollment rate rather low and charges expensive, facilities lacking, and most of the education is especially in urban areas, etc. This is because of the lack of awareness on pre-education, and also due to lack of investment in preschool education, and also on the reason of family education. During the past 3 years, I can say that there has radical changes in this area. And during the past 3 years, we have released the outline for education reform for the mid and long term. Emphasis was put on preschool education. And we have set targets for preschool education up to 2020. We have insisted on the acceleration of preschool education and on improving the early childhood education facilities as a breakthrough area. We have held many meetings and have set out 10 policies and 8 projects, 8 major projects. And all provinces, municipalities have elaborated the preschool education action plan for 3 years. So we can say that we have made unprecedented efforts in the resources in awareness raising and on efforts made by local governments. We have made statistics we have devoted more than 10 billion yuan to expand kindergarten facilities. We have set up more than 90,000 additional kindergartens. In 2012, we have added more than 10 million kindergartens. We have raised the coverage rate of 64.5%, and we have, ahead of the schedule, attained the target set out in the 12 five-year plan. We have also made evaluation on the kindergarten facilities and also on the staff training, including the qualification for the staff and the strengthening of training of the staff, and also the on the post, and we have also emphasized on preschool education, so that the education is more emphasized on the education through playtime, so that children can grow healthily, so that we can comprehensively solve the problem of preschool education. Thank you. Madam Chairperson, I would like to also make a recommendation on the members of my delegation as well. I think due to numerous questions raised, I urge everybody to be concise as possible, so that we can answer as many questions as possible. During yesterday's query, there is also a question on awareness raising on the convention, on how to raise awareness on the convention, including using the internet, and whether the convention has been translated in ethnic languages. And I would like to ask the State Council Information Office representative, Mr. Huang, to respond. Madam Chairperson and all distinguished members, the Chinese government paid high attention to the awareness raising of
约相关知识作为履约的一项基础性和重要工作。首先
First of all,
中国政府将公约内容纳入普法教育，坚持将儿童权利保护相关法律法规宣传教育作为全民普法的重要内容。比如2011年开始的第6个5年全民普法规划实施以来，全国各地把维护儿童合法权益法治宣传工作列入地方和部门6.5普法重要工作任务，组织并支持编写了有关儿童权利公约的法律读本，开发了儿童权利参与培训教材，对儿童工作的相关人员进行培训。其次，组织各项儿童参与活动，倾听儿童的意见和呼声。比如，在各地，也包括在民族地区，举办儿童权利 保护夏令营，通过举办儿童论坛、儿童绘画征集、我的生活、我参与等活动，向儿童宣传《儿童权利公约》，广泛征求儿童的意见和建议。第三，为了使越来越多的人了解儿童权利公约的基本原则和主要内容，中国各级政府通过广播电视、报刊杂志、图书光盘，特别是互联网的载体和渠道，深入宣传介绍公约的相关知识，使全社会越来越多的人们了解公约，接受公约，支持公约，共同为儿童权利保护和履行儿童权利公约贡献力量。此外，中国政府还特别重视公约在少数民族地区的宣传工作。目前，公约已译成7种少数民族的文字，包括蒙古族、藏族、维吾尔族、壮族、朝鲜族、哈萨克族和彝族，并制成宣传册、光盘等向少数民族儿童和相关人员发放。回答完毕，谢谢。
那么在
Thank you. There was a follow-up question from Mr. Gasto Kazova.
有一个 Casto，
Merci Madame la Présidente.
谢谢，我是第一次发言。我想欢迎中国的代表团，由代表团长所率领的中国代表团。在这里，我也想感谢发言者刚才代表团成员做的介绍，他们给出了一些很有意思的信息。我有2到3个很具体的问题。第一个问题就是在你们的小准备的册子中，这些小册子的起草是否使他们能够让儿童也能够易读吗？不同年龄层次的儿童，因为这个公约的实施，那么读公约来说，对于年轻的儿童来说是很难读懂的。第二个问题就是公约，就是规定缔约方要提出报告，要草拟报告。要草拟报告的过程中，要和民间社会的代表和儿童的组织、非政府的这组织进行磋商、合作来起草。在过程中是否这样做了呢？就是关于今天提出的报告。第3个问题是，你们说到了培训学校，那么专门针对对于这些专业人员的儿童，那么就是没有说这些专业人的是什么样的一些专业人士，能否他们是法官呀，还是教师啊？这个就是培训的一些专家。谢谢 下面请科索瓦女士，谢谢主席女士，我也是首次发言。首先，我也要热烈的欢迎你们来到日内瓦，非常感谢回答我们的问题。但是，关于上一个最后的一个答复，我有一个跟进的问题，关于因特网的问题。那么，关于儿童权利的讨论的问题啊。那么就是在世界在网上呢都有这个问题的讨论，是否中国的儿童呢也能够看得到，而且在中国的这个儿童问题的非政府组织，他们是否也能够看得到这些资料？那么这么就是还只是说只是在中国境内有的网上的一些资料他们才看得到？谢谢。对不起，麦克风。
谢谢提问。第一个问题，这些相关人员，就是包括哪些？这些儿童工作的相关人员包括政府官员、法律工作者、传媒工作者、社会工作者。等等，教育工作者，我们特别要加强对这些儿童工作的相关人员的培训和教育。首先是公约的要求，公约的相关知识。首先让这些人来了解、来熟悉，以便在他们的工作中很好的贯彻落实。主席女士，第二个问题，关于公约和公约的相关知识。让儿童了解，或者说如何向儿童进行宣传，有几个方面。第一，我们有专门的介绍、宣传儿童权利公约的儿童故事读本，还有绘画。我们代表团当中，也带来了有关的这样的一个，这是一种，欢迎是不是主席女士，我们向各位委员每人提供一本，当然。多要我们也给，这是第一。第二，我们向儿童宣传、介绍公约，通过活动来进行。因为儿童这个接受信息、接受法律知识，这个比成人要稍微弱一点。我们要通过举办一些活动，把儿童权利公约的一些要求予以活动之中，让儿童参加各项活动来了解儿童权利公约的知识。这是第二。第三，我们通过各种媒体，包括广播电视、图书、杂志、报刊、光盘和互联网，来向儿童或者说向未成年人介绍他们的权益、权利等相关知识。第三个问题， 关于互联网，大家知道，中国是世界上互联网用户最多的国家。截止到2012年年底，中国网民达到5.64亿，互联网普及率达到了42.1%。另外，中国的手机网络增速也很快，手机网民数量4.2亿，年增长率达到了18.1%，占网民的总数74.5%。根据我们互联网的状况，我们在这个宣传、介绍儿童权利公约方面，充分利用了互联网。我所在的部门就是中国管理互联网的主要部门之一。我们有关方面特别要求宣传儿童的权利的相关的法律法规，包括儿童权利公约，要充分的利用各种类型的网站这个平台。另外，主席女士，我给你提供个信息，就在我们的这个搜索引擎的这种网站上，打入这个关键词，比如儿童权益公约，搜索这些相关内容，关于公约的相关内容应有尽有，欢迎登录，谢谢。
Thank you.
非常感谢这有意思的信息。最后一个问题是，就是说关于因特网上的讨论，世界上的这个讨论的问题呢，在中国儿童是否也够的？只要看得到，他们能够看到儿童的这个权利的讨论，在世界上的这些总体讨论呢，是否也能够了解到，而只是限于他们能够了解到在这个中国内地的了解到的这些情况。
就是境外登录中国的网站，能不能了解到有关的？
主席女士，我想刚才可能关于这个问题的翻译呢，或者说是没有很好的传递这个信息。我想这个问题呢是说，对于境外的一些信息，在境内是否能不能获取到这是完全没有问题的。那么举个例子，就是我们在准备这个报告的过程当中，那么对于NGO 所提供的报告，我们随时是通过因特网来进行搜索，并且呢这个仔细的阅读这个报告，从中呢这个获取对我们有益的建议。那么这些呢是对于儿童也是一样，没有任何的限制。当然说谈到没有任何的限制，也不是完全没有限制，因为这个例如比方说在这个互联网上有关于像儿童色情方面的，那么这是要有限制的，所以对于这个问题的回答是，也就是境外的有关儿童保护的信息，包括讨论的情况，在境内完全可以不受限制的获得到。谢谢。
畅通无阻。
这个在昨天提的问题当中呢，有的是跟法律相关的，包括像费耶罗女委员呢曾经谈到了，在办理离婚案件的时候呢，是否听取儿童的意见，离婚案件呢有没有统计和公布，另外呢还也谈到了对于暴力问题有没有定义，如何消除家庭暴力，这方面的问题。那么呢，我们这次有来自于这个最高法院的王彦斌 法官，请他予以回复。
感谢主席委员的提问。我呢就这2个问题分别来根据我在最高法院工作了解的情况来做一个解答。一个是呢就是关于离婚数据的问题。离婚数据，我们这个数据是公开的，在全国法院审理的各类案件，其中包括离婚案件，都在中华人民共和国最高人民法院公报上公布。这个上面公布具体的数据，所以这个数据是可查的。离婚案件在我们国它分2个层面，一个呢就是通过法律诉讼的，由人民法院审理，这一些数据就是我刚才提供的，就是在中华人民共和国最高人民法院公报上查。还有一些离婚案件是在民政部门办理登记离婚，这一类的离婚案件数据也可以在民政部门向社会公布的数据中查找。以2012年为例，人民法院处理的离婚案件有68.1万件，民政部门登记离婚的案件有242.4万件，这就是一个数据上的说明。那么这个离婚案件在法院审理过程中，首先很注重调解，在调解过程中注重听取子女的意见。我举个例子，8月份我到山东省的一个县法院去调研考察，在一个法庭里就有未成年人的子女给家长写的劝告信，就是孩子给家长给父母让他们重归于好的这种请求。在法官调解这类案子的时候，把这个信从档案里拿出来，给父母双方来阅读。有的父母就放弃了离婚的诉讼请求，重归于好。从这一点可以看到，孩子的意见对父母离婚案件起着至关重要的作用。这是审判实践中的这个层面。在法律规定中，就是说这个孩子就是子女已经能分清是非的这个年龄的时候，询问子女的意见是法律程序上的一个重要环节。因此无论是从法律规定还是从审判实践中，都十分注重对未成年意见的充分考虑。对于这个问题我回答完毕，谢谢主席和各位委员。关于 针对案件的有关问题，我做这样的一个就情况的介绍，就是如何有效预防和制止针对儿童的暴力，主要是从多角度、多维度的全方位的保护儿童，防止他们受到暴力的侵害。首先是从立法层面扩大遭受儿童暴力的保护范围，加强保护力度。为了避免儿童免遭暴力行为的伤害，加强保护力度，我国制定了和修订了相应的立法，如《未成年人保护法》、《义务教育法》、《婚姻法》以及《妇女权益保障法》等等，并通过相关司法解释，通过立法修正案等形式来制定相关规定，增加了禁止以及处罚针对儿童暴力的条款。这些条款的内容涉及儿童可能遭受的家庭暴力、来自学校的暴力、以暴力手段被强迫劳动人以及性暴力等方面。治安管理处罚法、刑法对暴力伤害儿童的行为规定了具体的行政处罚措施和刑事法律责任，这是从立法这个层面。第二个层面是在教育层面上，教育层面加强预防儿童遭受暴力的策略，注重提高儿童的暴力防范意识和应对能力。为有效预防对儿童的暴力，教育部出台的《学生伤害事故处理办法》和《中小学幼儿园安全管理办法》强调将安全教育纳入学校教育，提高学生应对暴力侵害的防范意识和能力。其他相关部门和机构也十分注重采取多种措施，加强对儿童的教育。第三个层面主要是执法层面，执法层面采取措施，确保受暴力侵害的儿童得到适当照顾和综合救助。在我们国家，《未成年人保护法》要求县级以上人民政府及其民政部门应当根据需要设立救助场所。一些地方法规 也要求设立救助场所，为流浪和受家庭暴力儿童提供救助和妥善照顾。第4个层面是实践层面，在实践层面中，开展对反对儿童暴力和救助受害儿童的项目探索。这里呢，我要解释一句，为什么要做一些项目探索？这是因为，我们国家全国人大正在进行立法的调查研究，以这些探索的调研成果为依据，意在出台一部全国性，就是防治这个反暴力方面的法律。这些实践中的探索为立法奠定基础。这是在针对这个保护儿童、防止暴力的一些有效工作的开展。目前，全国人大，就是全国人民代表大会常务委员会，他们已经将反对家庭暴力的立法列入了本届立法规划。在制定法律过程，将就儿童免遭家庭暴力等问题进行了广泛的立法研究。那么在这个法律目前没有颁布的情况下，我们国家的法律也有多部法律在就是分散中，就各个法律分散中都有体现。中国目前针对，我是举个例子，就是对遗弃罪和虐待罪受害人的统计呢，就说明对这方面，对儿童的保护是很有力度的。比如说，我这做了一个统计上的
Thank you. I think we have got a lot of information from you. Thank you.
我感谢您提供的信息，我觉得已经有许多的情况了。听到您讲，我感谢您。我们现在呢，还要了解其他别的领域的情况。那么另外一个问题，暴力的问题。现在我想问一下。现在就这个我们讨论的暴力的问题，我想跟其他的问题联系起来谈一下。昨天提到的，就一些被起诉的或者是有问题的人，有这个政治反对派。这些人的孩子，他们的儿童是如何得到待遇的？现在请您答复一下。
委员呢，这个把您昨天的问题能不能够再重复一下，以便我们更好的回答。
具体的说，我现在干脆就直话直说。我们在几份文件里头看到，就这个，比如对法轮功，有些提到了其他的一些这些人员，他们的儿童，他们被侵权，他们在学校得转学，有的时候还走到别的省份，有的时候不得不离开自己国家，有的时候他们不能跟父母接触，因为父母被关押起来了，或者是由于其他的原因。这是我们昨天所问的。委员会报告员也提了这个问题，就是这个缺乏自由的问题。就由于一些政治原因被迫害的人，这些人，他们的孩子现在情况如何？在提供的信息里头，这些人员的子女有可能会碰到困难，不能按照他们的先辈或者父母来信教，他们不能再继续从事父母从事宗教活动。这就是我想问代表团答的问题。
委员女士所做的提问。那么您刚才谈的，我想这个问题呢，可以分几个层面。第一呢，是法轮功和宗教。那么可以明确的表示，法轮功和宗教之间没有关系。法轮功的事情不是一个宗教自由的问题。法轮功呢是一个邪教组织。那么中国政府呢已经依法取缔了法轮功。那么应该说呢，法轮功的修炼者是因为他们修炼法轮功，的确本身对自己家庭的孩子产生影响。那么在这方面呢，我可以给大家讲一个我本人认识的一个女士的这个故事。那么她本人修炼法轮功，那么到了很痴迷的境地，根本就没有时间来照顾他的孩子。那么他的孩子呢，讲说我想休学1年，以便玩网络游戏。那么他说表示同意。那么后来他本人得了严重的这个健康方面的疾病。但是他相信练法轮功是不需要去这个打针吃药的。那么到最后已经是到了就是病入膏肓的程度，在亲戚朋友的劝说下，到医院去，但为时已晚，很不幸离世。那么在这个过程当中，他的家庭也离婚了。那么孩子交给了奶奶照顾。 那么，所以在这个问题上，是由于修炼法轮功对家庭、对他自己的子女造成了负面的影响。那么刚才谈到了说，对于修炼法轮功的子女，有没有把他们因为父母的行为而受到影响？这方面是没有的。也就是说，这个对于这个你刚才谈到了说是子女不允许信父母的这个宗教。那么就法轮功而言，我想我已经表明了这个我们的立场，因为在这个问题上，我们在谈的不是一个宗教问题。那么关于宗教的问题的一个整体情况，其后呢，我会请我的这个我们有来自
Excuse me, it seems.
抱歉，您好像讲完了法轮功的问题了。我想提一下，这不仅是宗教自由的问题，还有这个良心自由。我觉得这个法轮功啊，实际上，他们实际上是一个良心的自由，而不是宗教的问题。这个可能在一些非宗教的家庭。可能有的时候这个父母的影响不一定是好的，但是呢，总体来说，不能判断这个整个的这个运动呢，只看这一个妇女她的情况来判断。你说到这个进行法轮功，这个信法轮功的人，孩子。这些孩子本身是不是也不受到影响？如果他们自己信法轮功的话，
有讲说是这个，刚才讲的是由于修炼，问题是修炼法轮功的子女是否因为他的父母修炼法轮功而受到影响？我想对我的问题提出的问题是这个问题。那么如果讲说有这个儿童修炼法轮功，我们目前还不掌握这方面的数据。那么，如果是存在这个情况，那么我们会从2个方面来予以这个处理。第一，当然是我已经明确表明了，法轮功是一个邪教组织。那么第二，我们在处理任何问题的时候，都会考虑儿童的特殊情况。那么我想对这个问题呢，这是我目前所能够回答的。
Then to the questions of
就这宗教的问题，宗教自由的问题。
我想请来自我们国家宗教局的赵池先生予以这个回复。
首先感谢主席女士和费耶罗女士的提问。包括少年儿童在内的中国公民，他们的宗教信仰自由的权利受到宪法保护。公民可以自由地信仰佛教、道教、伊斯兰教、天主教、基督教等不同宗教。同时，他们也有不信仰宗教的自由。需要再次重申的是，法轮功不是宗教，而是一个邪教组织。中国予以了依法取缔。对信教群众正常的宗教活动，政府都不加任何干涉。在中国，包括少数民族地区，信仰宗教的家长带着孩子到宗教活动场所参加宗教活动或接受宗教教育是非常平常的事情。 并未遭到禁止，也未因此受到歧视。中国和许多坚持政治与宗教相分离的国家一样，实行宗教与教育相分离的原则。宪法和教育法规定，国家实行教育与宗教相分离，任何组织和个人不得利用宗教进行妨碍国家教育制度的活动。也就是说，任何人，包括法定监护人，不得强迫未成年人信教、出家和到寺庙、教堂学经，更不能因此影响或剥夺他们接受义务教育的权利。中国政府认为，未成年人处在学知识、长身体阶段，其生理、心理尚未成熟，信教还是不信教，应由其成年后自己决定。当然，在此之前，监护人可以引导未成年人的信仰，对其进行某种形式的宗教教育，并监护他们参加宗教活动。我的回答完毕，谢谢。
我们知道，在中国有些儿童遇到了宗教方面的问题，那您说是没问题，但是我们收到了很多儿童出问题的这些报告，比如说他们因为是藏族儿童，或者是属于维吾尔少数民族，那跟宗教关系密切，他们不能够行使自己的宗教权利，他们有的时候得到外国去上学，才能够去真正获得上学的机会。我觉得您没有谈到在中国的事实，刚才的答复还是没有答复我们的问题。
主席女士，在我们藏族地区，从尊重藏传佛教活佛转世的传统出发，被认定为转世活佛的未成年人，可以进入寺庙或者佛学院学经，而其余藏族地区的儿童的9年制义务教育之后，年满18周岁，可以到寺庙里面去学经，成为僧侣。在我们新疆维吾尔自治区，也没有限制未成年穆斯林进入清真寺的规定。新疆维吾尔自治区未成年人保护条例中有任何组织或者个人不得引诱、强迫未成年人参加宗教活动的规定。这一规定也并未限制未成年人及其家长的宗教信仰自由。无论是在藏族地区还是在我们新疆，这些儿童接受了9年制义务教育之后，可以选择进入我们的宗教院校进行学习宗教知识，成为宗教教职人员。我的回答完毕。
我现在请在座的都保持肃静。我现在想问一下，班禅喇嘛的转世灵童，他当时很小的时候呢，就下落不明了，现在的已经是成人了。那现在呢，一直没有露面。我想请您解释一下他的情况又如何？
主席女士，是不是指的是根敦确吉尼玛？根敦确吉尼玛作为一名中国公民， 与其他普通公民一样，他从小接受国家义务教育，通过他的努力，还接受了高等教育，身体状况健康。他和家人都表示，了解到外界对他们的关注，也知道一些人想利用他们一家人达到自己的目的，而他们已习惯过普通人的生活，不愿意目前的正常生活受到外界的干扰。我们希望能够充分理解和尊重他们的意愿，让他们一家人继续过正常人的生活。谢谢主席律师。
谢谢。这一点有没有经过独立专家的确认呢？2005年的时候，委员会曾经提出这个要求，让一个独立专家去确认这个情况，有没有确认过呢？
有没有独立专家委员进行确认？这方面的情况的话，我这并不掌握。这个问题我可以带回去了解一下。
谢谢主席说。还有一个跟学校语言相关的问题，我们听到了许多跟少数民族有没有可能在校内采用自身语言的这个问题，在西藏、在维吾尔区，他们是不是可以采用自身的语言？
对，民族地区，语言教育的问题，我想请这个来自于我们国家，民委的熊方亮先生予以回复。
感谢主席，感谢各位委员。我现在就首先就主席女士提出的关于少数民族语言的受教育的问题、语言权利的问题做一个简要的答复。在中国法律法规就明确保障少数民族有学习、使用和发展本民族语言的自由和权利。截止到2012年，除宪法和民族区域自治法之外，中国一共有14部法律法、16个政府性规章和部门规章，对少数民族使用和发展自己语言文字作出规定。有传统民族文字的民族，如藏族、维吾尔族等，他们的民族语文在学校和各种教育中得到了广泛使用。目前，中国每年编译的少数民族语文教材达3500多种，总印数超过1亿册。在新疆维吾尔自治区，普通中小学分别采用维吾尔、汉、哈萨克、柯尔克孜、蒙古、锡伯、俄罗斯等7种语言进行教学。目前，全国共有1万多所学校使用21种民族的29种文字进行双语教学，在校生达到600多万人。另外，我想请问一下团长，就是关于少数民族方面的其他的问题，我是不是一并作为答复？
因为这个提了一些问题，我记得 主席女士曾经提过，赫尔佐格这个委员也曾经提过，那么涉及到教育权利、语言权利、文化权利、就业权利等方方面面，我想从时间的这个因素考虑，可以集中予以回应。
我就关于少数民族的有关问题，包括戈特纳先生提出的系统性歧视的问题，然后赫尔佐格女士提出的少数民族语言教育等方面的问题，统一做一个答复。在此之前呢，我想首先需要就中国的少数民族状况和中国的民族政策的背景，向主席女士和各位委员做一个简要的介绍。众所周知，中国是一个统一的多民族国家。除汉族以外呢，还有55个民族，因为人口较少，统称为少数民族。中国历史是由各民族共同书写的。中国文化
Excuse me, I would like to say to the speaker, you don't need to wait.
我想跟这个发言人说，您用不着等口译嘛，一直说下去就可以了。
中国文化是由各民族共同创造的，中国的疆域也是由各民族共同开拓的，中国的主权和国家领土完整也是由各民族共同捍卫的。中华人民共和国也是由各民族共同缔造的。中国改革开放所取得的成就和成果，也是由各民族共同建设和共同享有的。中国的国家前途和民族命运，也是由各民族共同创造和决定的。无论是汉族、藏族、维吾尔族，都是中华民族团结友爱的大家庭的一员。我想向主席女士和各位委员表明一下我的身份，我本人就是少数民族白族。中国政府历来十分重视少数民族人权事业的发展，其中理所应当的包括对少数民族儿童权利的保障和保护。总体而言，中国政府奉行的是以民族平等、民族团结、民族区域自治和促进各民族共同繁荣发展为核心的民族政策，建立了包括宪法、民族区域自治法等在内的完善的保障少数民族权利的法律法规体系。中国宪法明确规定，各民族一律平等。国家保护和保障少数民族的合法权利和利益，禁止对任何民族的歧视和压迫。中国各族人民在政治、经济、文化、教育、卫生等各方面，都享有宪法所赋予的各项平等权利。这些权利包括各民族不分民族、种族、宗教信仰，都同样的享有选举权和被选举权。各民族公民的人身权利和人身自由不受侵犯。各民族公民都有宗教信仰自由的权利。各民族都有保持和改革自己风俗习惯的权利等等。我想在这里特别强调一下中国政府对少数民族管理国家事务的权利的保障。 中国的最高权力机关全国人民代表大会的选举过程当中，有法律保障55个少数民族都有全国人民代表，不论他的人口多少。历届人民代表大会少数民族代表所占全体代表的比例均高于同期少数民族人口所占全国总人口的比例。在中央和地方国家权力机关、行政机关、审判机关和检察机关之中，都有相当数量的少数民族成员参加国家和地方事务的管理，其中包括维吾尔族和藏族。
Excuse me? Yeah, this is interesting.
主席说：“抱歉，听起来很有意思，但是呢，是不是可以再多讲讲？是不是可以多给我们谈谈少数民族儿童采用母语教育的问题？我们提的是一个非常具体的问题，也就是在藏区，是不是在那里采用的是汉语教学，或者是在新疆维吾尔地区采用的是汉语教学，而少数民族没办法用自己的母语受教育？”还有一位代表说：“主席再补充一句，我想问一问师资培训的问题。师资有没有得到适当的培训，去教授藏文或者维吾尔文或者其他的少数民族语言？请你们给我们一个具体的答复，谢谢。”
我想也是和委员关注的问题，我将在后面予以回应。因为现在我为什么要简要的介绍一下中国少数民族的政策的总体状况，直接关系到我们对中国少数民族儿童的是否存在系统性歧视的政策性背景问题。刚才我提到，就是包括维吾尔族和藏族现有1名全国人大副委员长，国务院有1名少数民族人员担任国务委员和秘书长。新疆维吾尔族自治区和西藏自治区主席分别由维吾尔族和藏族成员担任。下面我就主席理事和委员关切的中国政府切实保障少数民族儿童的各项权益的问题做一个简要回复。在教育方面，教育法明确规定，中国公民不分民族、种族、性别、职业、财产状况、宗教信仰等，依法享有平等的受教育机会。为保障少数民族儿童接受义务教育的权利，中国政府在政策投入上对民族教育予以重点支持。2011年，中国全面实现普及9年义务教育，覆盖了全部民族地区。截止到2012年，义务教育少数民族在校生达到1515.46万人，小学学龄儿童入学率超过99%。目前，中国的少数民族地区已经形成了从幼儿教育到高等教育的完整的教育体系，有14个少数民族的受教育年限高于全国平均水平。在西藏自治区，中国政府采取多种措施促进少数民族教育事业的发展。 西藏73个县全部普及9年义务教育。从城镇学前3个幼儿教育到农牧区学前2个幼儿教育开始，到高中阶段，全部实现包吃、包住、包学习费用的3包政策。小学学龄儿童入学率超过99%。2012年，中央财政安排西藏教育3包补助资金，仅这一项就超过13亿元人民币，惠及51.69万在校学生。
Excuse me。
抱歉，主席说我们需要稍微做一个休息，在此之后呢，时间呢将
The comedy that cases of human trafficking are very rare in Hong Kong. Similarly, reported cases of children working as prostitutes or who are otherwise exploited for sexual purposes are rare. The Prevention of Child Pornography Ordinance strengthens protection to children against sexual exploitation in the forms of child pornography, child pornographic performance, and child sex tourism. The ordinance also extends the application of certain sexual offences to acts committed against children outside Hong Kong to combat child sex tourism. In a recent case heard before the Court of Appeal, the court noted that Article 34 of the Convention on the Rights of the Child applies to Hong Kong, but the optional protocol on the sale of children, child prostitution and child pornography is still not applicable to Hong Kong. Nevertheless, the court recognized that in Hong Kong there is no shortage of laws for combating activities involving sexual abuse of children within our territory. In order to target offenders who sexually abuse children outside Hong Kong and to prevent them from getting away unpunished by just returning to Hong Kong, the Crimes Ordinance gives extraterritorial effect to the sexual offence provisions. In gist, the alleged offender will be prosecuted if either he is a Hong Kong permanent resident or he ordinarily resides in Hong Kong, or the victim is a child who is a Hong Kong permanent resident or who ordinarily resides in Hong Kong. The provision in the Crimes Ordinance is therefore, to a certain extent, consistent with the requirements in Article 4 of the Optional Protocol. Member raised a question on whether children's preferences and needs are taken into account when choosing children programs for broadcasting on our TV channels. We would like to inform the committee that our regulator for the broadcasting sector conducts public engagement exercise on a regular basis to gauge views of the members of the public on the quality and variety of television programs, including programs for children provided by the domestic free TV service licensees. Opinion surveys are also conducted from time to time to gauge public views on the quality and adequacy of children programming over on the domestic free TV services. A free TV broadcaster has also established an expert panel comprising educationalists, social workers, doctors, and other professionals to advise on the production of children programs. These professionals have been in close touch with the children audience and have offered variable opinions on the children's programming needs and preferences. There was a question on whether we have evaluated on the effectiveness of our various programs in relation to the promotion of CRC. We are pleased to inform the committee that for projects such as TV programs and announcement in the public interest, we will keep track on the audience rate. For other programs under our Children's Rights Education Funding Scheme, we have been conducting opinion survey among participants, including children and their parents, to make sure that they have learned more about children's rights through the activities. On public housing in Hong Kong, we understand that the committee is concerned about children living in inadequately housed households, which include huts, squatters, rooftop structures, cubicles, and subdivided units. To resolve their problems in the long run, we have to increase supply of public rental housing, PRH. Our current plan is for the first 5-year period from 2012-13 to 2016-17, the total production will be about 79,000 flats. For the second 5-year period from 2017-18 to 2021-22, with the concerted efforts of various departments, we have identified sufficient land to produce about 100,000 flats. We will further strengthen the internal coordination within the government and our liaison with respective district councils and local communities to identify suitable sites for public housing development in different areas of the territory. While we are increasing the supply of PRH, in the interim, we will continue to adopt measures in favor of children in terms of allocation of PRH. I will now invite EDB to answer.
Regarding the questions on human rights education in Hong Kong, over the last 2 years, around 1,700 teachers participated in 17 courses, seminars and workshops on human rights in relation to rights of child. Around 3,450 teachers received 47 training courses related to child sexual abuse, happy schooling, non-attendance, and also helping students affected by the domestic violence. In the subject curriculum, recently we have launched a new curriculum called the Life and Society Curriculum for junior secondary age students. It was implemented in 2012 to 13 school years. Over there, one of the modules is called the Rights, Responsibilities and the Rule of Law and Rights of the Children, including the basic rights of children as delineated by the UN Convention on the Rights of Child, constitute a core module of this curriculum. When you actually calculate that, we're talking about 12% of the lesson time altogether. And also, in addition, there will be global issues like well-being of child has been introduced as one of the enrichment modules. Schools are advised to implement the curriculum and as a separate subjects or using modules in their school integrated subjects at junior secondary level in order to migrate them to the liberal studies, which is also will be mentioned about the UN Convention Rights of Child. Also, when we talk about the Hong Kong students, whether they are aware and also sensitive enough with the respect to human rights, I can tell you the answer is very high. For example, it was reviewed by the International Civic and Citizenship Education Study in 2009, Hong Kong report. In Hong Kong students, as quoted, Hong Kong students perform well above the international mean. In the International Civic Knowledge Test, which includes the concepts of human rights, and also all these, in particular, in the international survey, Hong Kong students possess a positive attitude towards equal rights for all ethnic, racial groups and immigrants. And that is actually 2 and 3 points above the international average.
Committee members, I would like to give a brief response to the concerns raised about the rights of the EM children in Hong Kong and report on the latest development of our work in this area. Now first about the segregation effect of the so-called designated school arrangement. Taking into account the views of different stakeholders, the government has decided to revise the mode of support to schools in this current school year with a view to providing EM students with more school choices, enhancing the effectiveness of EM students in learning the Chinese language, and removing the labeling effect of the so-called designated schools. Based on the existing arrangements, an additional grant ranging from 300,000 to 600,000 Hong Kong dollars is provided to public sector and also direct subsidy scheme schools admitting 10 or more EM students. It is estimated that about 130 schools, including the so-called 31 designated schools, will receive the grant. And schools receiving the grants are required to adopt the Chinese language assessment tools, which are tailor-made for the EM students, to set learning targets and to develop teaching strategies for the EM students. Now, as for the parents' concern of their child being bullied, I would like to stress that the Bureau has a very clear policy whereby we will not tolerate any act of bullying in schools. We issued circulars and require all schools to take the matter seriously and implement proactive measures to ensure the safety of students, disregarding their family background or ethnicity, and to create a harmonious school environment. The Bureau has also organized briefing sessions every year for EM parents to introduce the education system in Hong Kong, the support services that can be rendered to them as well as to their children. Such information is also available on a designated website and information leaflets which are translated into different EM languages. We attach great importance to communication which helps to ease such worries. The second concern is how to improve the Chinese language skills of the EM children so as to fulfill their wishes. Now, we think that the quality of teaching and the presence of a curriculum which suit the diverse needs of the EM students are two important factors. On improving the quality of teaching, we are planning to launch an incentive scheme which aims to enhance the professional capacity of Chinese language teachers in teaching EM students. Details will be announced later. On the curriculum side, we are now collecting classroom evidence and effective pedagogical practices to develop a more systematic Chinese language learning framework, specially designed to cater for the needs of Chinese as a second language learners. This would facilitate students' learning in a more systematic manner with a view to achieving articulation to multiple pathways for academic and career advancement. Third, the concern about the EM children's opportunity for further study and their career prospect. To broaden the opportunities for EM students who are studying in secondary schools, starting from the last school year, the prevailing arrangement of subsidized examination fee for taking the GCSE Chinese examination will be extended to cover the IGCSE, GCE AS level, as well as GCE A-level Chinese examinations, which are recognized as alternative Chinese qualifications for the minimum entry requirement in university admissions. In addition
Excuse me, could I just ask a question? When you say you will improve the curriculum and the teachers' skills, will you also then provide for language skills among the ethnic minority children, which will enable them to pass these tests, or will there still be a gap? Because what we have heard is that at the moment their language skills that they learn during the primary and secondary school is at the level of the 4th year of primary school or something, and in order to pass this test, I guess it would need to be much higher. So will you align those two, if you see what I mean?
Yes. Yes, that's why in our curriculum framework we decide to build in systematic framework so as to help them achieve the targets at each step, and these targets are articulated with the requirements of the different examinations so that they will be able to catch up and then to fulfill the requirements of those examinations.
And there will possibly be an individual follow-up of the students by the teacher?
Teachers are supported to do so. Okay. In addition to extending the scope of the coverage, we have also considered the maximum number of entries of the non-local Chinese examinations, for which EM students should be eligible for the subsidized exam fee. Eligible EM students sitting for these examinations as school candidates will be eligible for the subsidized exam fee for up to 2 entries for any of the 3 exams, that is the GCSE Chinese exam, the IGCSE as well as the GCE-AS level, and up to 2 entries for the GCE-A level. EM students are allowed the choice of taking the above exams in place of or in addition to the local examination. In 2013, out of 649 secondary 6 EM students attending public sector and DSS schools offering the local curriculum, 568 of them, that is about 88%, took the local Chinese examination. 25 of them met the general entrance requirements of the University Grants Committee funded undergraduate programs, in comparison with the 35% of local candidates who met the requirement, and around 50% of those who met the entrance requirement received university offers, and in comparison with 64% of local students who got those offers. So it is particularly encouraging to find that the Chinese language requirement is not a hurdle to entrance into UGC-funded programs. For EM students who are interested in vocation education, a wide range of course and programs conducted in English are also available. The Vocational Training Council offers both degree and higher diploma programs and other short courses for students of different levels. With a view to improving their employability and facilitating their integration into the community, the Employees Recruitment Board provides dedicated training courses to EM trainees in English. Of course, we will not be complacent with the progress made. We will continue to review our support measures by stepping up our work in areas where improvement or enhancement is needed, so as to cater for the diverse and long-term development needs of our EM students. Thank you.
There's a question about transportation arrangements for the cross-boundary students. Firstly, to meet the increasing demands at the boundary control points and cater for the transportation needs of the cross-boundary students, particularly the tender age ones, the government has put in place facilitating measures for them. These measures including allowing local school buses to access several restricted areas such as Lo Wu Station Road and also Lok Ma Chau Spur Line Control Point to take the students to and from the schools. And also, we're also granting the special quota for schools' coach services exclusively for students that we're talking about. And also enhancing the clearance procedures at the boundary control point. To cater for the safety and also the needs of the cross-boundary students, the government will continue to facilitate the transportation arrangements for the tender age students through discussing with the Shenzhen authorities, and also will implement enhancement to increase the handling capacities of the boundary control points and affecting the proper management of traffic and securing the measures at the boundary areas. Considering the undesirable effects of the traveling long distances to schools, especially among the tender age children, the government has all along been encouraging the parents to consider schooling in the proximity and let their children study in schools near their homes. And there's another question on the 12-year free education. And it is actually our government's policy that no students will be deprived of opportunity to receive education due to lack of means. As from 2009, free education in public sector schools has been extended from the primary and junior secondary education to senior secondary education. Starting from the 2008 and 2009 school years, the government has also been providing full subvention for full-time courses run by the Vocational Training Council for early school leavers to offer alternative free avenue to senior secondary students outside the mainstream schools education. The publicly funded schools have received guidelines from the education bureaus to prevent any unnecessary charging fall onto their shoulders of parents, and also there are a whole wide range of subsidies, including the existing textbook subsidies and also the new funds like the CCF, which we call it the Community Care Fund, lunch subsidies, cross-border boundary learning activities, and also after-school care, etc., has been established for the financially needed students.
Well, I would like to respond to the...
Excuse me, there is a follow-up question from Ms. Herzog.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your very detailed answers. May I ask you about the extension of the free education to the early childhood education and care facilities, so preschool and kindergarten? Yeah, it's coming. Thank you.
I would first like to respond to the question on education for students with disabilities. Under our prevailing education policy, subject to the assessment and recommendation of specialists and parents' consent, students with more severe or multiple disabilities are placed in special schools for intensive support. Other children with special educational needs may attend ordinary schools. No child with disability in Hong Kong who has reached the formal schooling age is deprived of education due to lack of school places. The rights of students with special educational needs to have equal opportunities in accessing and participating in local education are ensured by the Disability Discrimination Ordinance, which was enacted in 1996. The Code of Practice on Education issued by the Equal Opportunities Commission in accordance with the Disability Discrimination Ordinance provides schools with practical guidance on making provision for students with disabilities. The Education Bureau has been providing additional resources, professional support, and teacher training for both ordinary and special schools to help them provide suitable learning environment and teaching adaptations for their students in consideration of their learning needs and cultivate an inclusive culture in school.
Thank you very much. There's an additional question from Mr. Cardona.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much. Given this is the first time that I'm taking the floor, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to the very large delegation, and thank you very much indeed for the responses that you were giving us with respect to education of children with disabilities in Hong Kong. Now, I hope that we will have an opportunity to talk about mainland China as well. In terms of the disability issue, this hasn't been an issue yet that we've discussed for mainland China. The overwhelming majority of children with disabilities in Hong Kong are found in special education centres. And what we've just heard is that children with a lighter, slighter disability can attend mainstream ordinary schools, and the school is given guidelines as to how to deal with these students. This is not really inclusive education. In addition to that, you need support teachers, you need special measures in place, you need to ensure that the school is inclusive, you need to reform the educational system so that it becomes truly inclusive. So my question is, what specific investment in financial terms are you undertaking to adapt ordinary schools so that they become inclusive? That's the first question. Second question. How many support teachers are there in mainstream ordinary schools so that children with disabilities can receive a good level of inclusive education? Now, I'd like to know, in Hong Kong, children with special needs, do they all go to special educational centres and then they become, in fact, they're segregated? So that's the question I have for you.
Well, first of all, we recommend students with more severe or multiple disabilities to attend special schools. We do not practice full inclusion in Hong Kong. For those students who would benefit from ordinary schools with some form of accommodation, well, we would support them with additional resources. Well, actually, in Hong Kong, there are more than 30,000 students with special needs attending ordinary schools. Well, regarding the additional resources for students with special needs in ordinary schools, well, we have seen an improvement in allocation of resources for the schools for about a net increase of about 25% in the last 5 years. Well, we do not just allocate teachers for the schools. We provide learning support grants for the schools so that they can flexibly deploy their resources. If they want to employ additional teachers or teaching assistants, they could do so. In fact, in this school year, that is the 2013 years, we increased the ceiling of the learning support grant for each school. In the past, well, the ceiling is 1 million Hong Kong dollars per year, and we have increased that to 1.5 million Hong Kong dollars this year. Okay, and I would like to talk about free kindergarten education. Well,
excuse me, will we hear something more about identification of children with disabilities or early assessment, etc.? Is that possibly somebody else?
We have in place an interdepartmental collaboration on early identification and intervention of children with disabilities in Hong Kong. Well, I don't think we have time to go into details, and if you would like, we can give you some supplementary information after the meeting.
Okay, I would just like to raise it because we have some information that it takes very long to get children with, for instance, Down syndrome or autism, that it takes a very long time for such things to be identified. That's why I'm asking. Mr. Cotran would like an additional question.
Very briefly, I think an answer was given to one of the questions we raised, that children with disabilities are generally speaking stigmatized. They're not really well received in society. And the care given to them is that they are institutionalized and no care is given to them in their natural family environment. What measures do you have and what policies are you envisaging to take? And this applies to mainland China as well as Hong Kong. These children should receive care in the family environment, in fact.
Regarding stigmatization, we have been working with the different sectors, such as the NGO and different government departments, to promote the concept of integration and to educate the public in general.
Okay. I would like to talk about free KG education, if possible. Well, regarding free KG education, the government has set up a designated committee, that is the Committee on Free KG Education, in April this year to study and make specific proposals on how to practically implement free KG education.
Okay, there's also some kind of concerns coming from the children's voice, especially children's voice collected for policy formulations and review. I would like to add several points on it. One is actually children's voice or student voice is actually one of our core in curriculum development in Hong Kong now. For example, in the new senior secondary curriculum, we have collected from time to time students' views and also opinions. Talking about numbers, we're talking about in total there is 17,000 young people's voice have been collected, and also we're consulting them for formulating the new academic structure and also for in the review. Secondly, we also very view this kind of student voice very important, and we actually put some sustainable tools for the schools to collect students' voice in school. One tool is called the Assessment Program for Effective and Social Outcomes, called APASO, which is actually to try to collect students' thoughts and also ideas about themselves and how they actually blend into schools. Secondly, we also have introduced a stakeholder survey, which in one part of it is the students, and all schools are encouraged to actually implement these kind of tools in order to identify schools' needs. And also these are the evaluations including in our school inspection system. Third point I would like to say is about the students are always, especially under our new academic structure, our students are always encouraged to participate in student voice forums, such as any sort of organized by the government or by the NGOs. And all these kind of learning experiences and the reflections can be recorded and write down in their student learning profile, which will be helpful for their applying for the university and entries, and also for the future employments as reference.
I now respond to issues on prevention of violence against children and corporal punishment within family, as well as childcare assistance to needy children and families. The government is committed to combating domestic violence and preventing child abuse. The Social Welfare Department, SWD, and non-governmental organizations, NGOs, provide a range of preventive, supportive, and remedial welfare services, including public education, parent education, support groups, counseling services, and etc., to support families in need and to prevent child abuse. We agree that children should grow up in a safe environment. The government has already put in place legislations to protect children from violence and various abuse. Pursuant to the Offences Against the Person Ordinance, it is unlawful for a person aged over 16, including a parent, who has the custody, charge or care of a child or young person under the age of 16, to willfully assault or ill-treat the child or young person, or causes such child or young person to be assaulted or ill-treated in a manner likely to cause such child or young person unnecessary suffering or injury to his health. If convicted, the person shall be liable to a maximum penalty of 10 years imprisonment. With the amendments to the Domestic Violence Ordinance in 2008, which was further amended in 2010, a child may apply for an injunction order through his or her next friend against harassment by his or her parents or relatives. Moreover, a social worker of SWD or a police officer may initiate care or protection proceedings for a child under the Protection of Children and Juveniles Ordinance when there is a need for statutory protection of the child. In Hong Kong, legislating against corporal punishment by parents on children is really a complex issue that needs a full discussion by the general public for social consensus. We need to consider and balance various factors, including what level of corporal punishment should constitute an offense, parental responsibility and rights, values and views of different communities, as well as the effectiveness of resorting to a legislative approach, Every year, the government organizes territory-wide and district-based publicity campaigns and public education programs to arouse public awareness of the importance of family solidarity and prevention of child abuse. We have been reviewing the service demand and contemporary needs of families. Additional resources have been injected to maximize the protective factors and minimize the risk factors in families and communities. In the past 2 years, we have increased our extensive network of integrated family service centers from 61 to 65 centers, with an addition of social workers.
Thank you for all this information. Mr. Cardona would like a question.
Yes, just very briefly. When you said that we need to have a social debate to ascertain what the level of corporal punishment is to constitute a crime, do you mean that for the administration there are levels of corporal punishment which should be accepted?
Sorry. We already have a clear definition of physical abuse through publicity leaflets to the public and also a procedural guideline issued to the professionals in Hong Kong. So we think that we need more public education to help people to learn, help the parents to learn proper and effective child discipline skills rather than to resort to legislative means.
Thank you. We are very happy to hear that. Do you have, Ms. Hadger, we have very little time left. Do you need a question on this or no? Okay. Yeah. I would just like to mention that in some countries it has been very useful to legislate a prohibition against corporal punishment, a total prohibition, because that might sometimes go in advance of the population's attitudes. It might actually promote the non-violence in the families. Then I think we could go to other issues.
Yeah. Now I turn to the childcare support issue in Hong Kong, in accordance with Article 18 and 20. The government respects the responsibilities, rights and duties of parents or members of the extended families to give care and guidance to their children for the best benefits of their developmental needs. To support parents, including new arrivals who are unable to take care of their children temporarily because of work or other social reasons, like unfavorable family structure, including single, broken or split family. SWD has all along provided subsidies, welfare premises, capital funding and others support to NGOs to run a variety of childcare services and assist low-income families to obtain the needed services. For childcare services to support preschool children, childcare centers provide formal daycare. Altogether, there are about 27,000 childcare center places in the territory with different financing and operational modes to serve families from various socio-economic strata and with different childcare needs. As for informal day care to support needy parents with sudden engagements or various social reasons, but without their own means and resource network, we subsidize NGOs to provide occasional childcare service and extend our service in the childcare centers, as well as mutual health childcare centers. To enhance service flexibility and accessibility, while at the same time promote community participation and mutual assistance in their neighborhood, SWD introduced the pilot neighborhood support childcare project in 2008. This project provides daily childcare support from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. in the weekdays and even weekends and some public holidays. Half or half fee waiving is available for low-income families with social needs. With proven effectiveness, we have regularized and extended the project to all 18 districts just in October 2011. Additional resources have also been injected to improve the quality and quantity of the project.
Thank you. There was a follow-up question from Mr. Cotran. A brief one?
Non, plutôt j'attends.
Well, I'm still waiting for
an answer on the questions related to refugee children, children in dangerous employment, and children in conflict with the law. If we can have a quick answer to those questions, Madam Chairman. Thank you.
Carry on.
Yeah, for childcare services for the older children, those at their primary school age, we have after-school care program, which is also operated by NGOs to provide supportive services, including homework guidance, parent guidance and education, skill learning, meal service, as well as other social activities. At present, there are a total of 145 ASCP centers at accessible locations and offering about 5,500 service places across the territory. There are still unused quotas for various childcare services. Apart from the above-mentioned day childcare services provided by SWD, there are also school-based and other community-based childcare support projects provided by other departments and financed by other public funding or charity fundings. Lastly, I turn to residential care in Hong Kong. To support children and young persons under the age of 21 who cannot be adequately cared for by their families because of various reasons such as abandonment, or have to leave their families temporarily due to behavioral or emotional problems, the government has been providing various types of free residential childcare services. These services are divided into institutional and non-institutional type. The non-institutional care services, which provide residential care for children in family-like environment, include foster care service and small group home. As of today, the total number of residential care places is about 3,600. Half of them are being non-institutionalized foster care and small group homes. We are the direction of our residential care service development. For those at tender age below 6 without serious health or emotional problems, they will be put under the care of foster families. All residential childcare services require referrals by social workers after they have made a professional assessment of the service need of the children or as a result of a court decision. The social workers will continue to work out appropriate care arrangement in the long-term welfare plan for the best interests of the children already admitted to the residential care units. Individual case has individual situation. Majority of them have family reunion after discharge. As concurrently, we social workers usually have to render counseling and assistance to enhance the parents' capability. Other residents may not have a family to return to, especially those abandoned children. Will find them permanent and suitable homes through the legal process of adoption. To meet the needs of residential care, we have increased the number of places throughout the past few years. And we also increased the foster care allowance as high as 30% just in April 2012 with a view to strengthening support for our foster children.
Madam Chair, I would like to make a quick response to the question on the duration of maternity leave. Under the employment ordinance in Hong Kong, a pregnant employee is entitled to a continuous period of 10 weeks maternity leave if she fulfills the eligibility criteria. Should the employee encounter health problems due to pregnancy or confinement before or after delivery, she is entitled to an additional leave period of up to 4 weeks. With the agreement of the employer, the employee may take further leave, and in such a situation, the continuity of her employment shall not be affected. We consider that the employment ordinance provisions on maternity protection, including the duration of maternity leave, have afforded comprehensive protection to pregnant employees.
Thank you. I think this information is fine. I think we can find it. But we really need some answers quickly to these questions that Kotran just repeated. It's very important for us. We haven't had either any comments on the one-way permits and the children living in Hong Kong with a non-eligible parent. So thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam. Regarding about whether there are cases of unaccompanied minors being detained or arrested while seeking non-refoulement, actually the policy in Hong Kong SAR concerning the release on reconnaissance of claimants seeking non-refoulement protection is generally applicable to unaccompanied minors claimants under the age of 18. They will not be detained unless there are very strong reasons, like they would not be properly taken care if not so detained. Each case will be assessed on individual merits, and unaccompanied minor claimants will normally be released on reconnaissance as soon as supervised care home facility is available.
Excuse me, can I just ask if he won't get if he otherwise will not get proper care, why do you need to detain them? Detention means that they are locked up, that they can't leave. Why can't you just provide them with a place to stay, a proper home with some care somehow?
Yes, Madam Chairman. Actually, we are not going to detain any unaccompanied minors because we only take the consideration that if this unaccompanied minors is being released, there will be no one to take care of these persons. That's why, as a fairly temporary measures, we would detain him in a fairly special home and juvenile centers, and then we will allow the reconnaissance of these minors while there is a supervised care facility is available. And in fact, I would like to add that under fairly special circumstances where an unaccompanied minors is required to be detained, there are provisions in Hong Kong that he will be admitted into a children and juveniles home operated by the Social Welfare Department of the Hong Kong SAR government. The Social Welfare Department will provide proper care and guidance to the detained children and juvenile in the facilities. And the provisions also guarantees that a child under detention shall receive the same treatment as that which is accorded to a local child or juvenile. And in fact, so far, there is no unaccompanied minors seeking non-refoulement protections to the Hong Kong Immigration Department so far.
Just a quick question from Ms. Herzog.
No, I would like to come back to the question of those children who are Hong Kong residents, but their mother is not, and on the public housing, that was the other issue that hasn't been tackled yet.
Public housing.
Actually, we have already answered on the public housing. Yeah.
Well, the problem was the mothers that have they were married to a Hong Kong man. He's either dead or has divorced. They are divorced, and she is a mainlander staying in Hong Kong with her child, and she doesn't have a right to stay in Hong Kong. She has to go back to China often, every 2 years or something, to renew her permit to stay in Hong Kong. Can you do something to help these families? Because this leaves the kids in a very difficult situation. And the whole family, because she has no rights, they have to live on possibly the allowance that the child gets. And she does not even have the right to work, no right to do volunteer work even. So we would like to hear about improvements in the situation of these families.
William and Doris.
Yes, we noticed that many split families of the mainland origins. But according to the Article 22 of the Basic Law of the Hong Kong SAR, people from other parts of China must apply for entry into the Hong Kong SAR. Mainland residents who wish to settle in Hong Kong must apply for one-way permit from the relevant mainland Public Security Bureau authorities. On the other hand, mainland residents may apply for two-way permit and appropriate exit endorsement for other purposes, including visiting their family members in Hong Kong. The application, approval, and issue of...
Excuse me, I think we know the regulations around this. We would just like to know if you're going to make any improvements, because it really leaves, I mean, together with the Chinese mainland authorities, if you can make some alleviations in the very strict regulations, it seems to us anyway, in the possibilities of these families to stay together in Hong Kong? That was the question, and if you cannot answer it right now, well, you can't. Mr. Cotran?
Oui, y compris.
Yes, including for children coming from North Korea. And this question relates to continental China, but also to Hong Kong. What are the facilities that are available so they don't have to live in conditions of hiding from the authorities? So we'd like some more information on the subject.
Dear committee member, you are mentioning about the children from the North Korea and also from the mainland China, whether they will be provided with proper care while they are seeking non-refoulement in Hong Kong?
I think the question is whether they will be returned to North Korea without a screening of their reasons for leaving North Korea in the first place.
Yes. Actually, the Convention Against Torture in Humans and Degrading Treatment and Punishment applies to Hong Kong since 1992. So whenever a person is raising that here, when he or she return to his place of origin, he or she will face a real risk of torture or an inhuman or degrading treatment or persecutions. The Hong Kong government is obliged to conduct a screening of his claim, and then we will provide a non-refoulement protection to those whose claim are substantiated.
We cannot really go on with Hong Kong anymore. I think we've had the answers that we have the time to get. Do you have any main issues you would like to just mention before because we could give Macau 5 minutes. The reason why we've given Hong Kong more time that I said to start with is that the Hong Kong delegation is leaving during lunch, so that we will not be able to ask them any more questions, but I think at least we've asked the questions we could.
Yeah, I want to have 3 more minutes to address the domestic helper.
Yes,
or from the
please.
immigration.
If you could do it in 2 minutes, it would be good.
Okay, 2 minutes, yes.
Okay. Regarding about the questions on whether foreign domestic helpers are required to live in Hong Kong while they are pregnant, and why they cannot bring their children to Hong Kong while they are working here. In fact, the Hong Kong SAR government attached very great importance in protecting the rights of all migrant workers, including the foreign domestic helpers. They enjoy the same rights and protection as local workers. Under the current labor legislations, we guard against any termination of employment for the sole reasons of pregnancy of the employee. Foreign domestic helpers are admitted to Hong Kong for the purpose of specific employment on a fixed term, and they are required to leave at the conclusion of the contract. So they are coming here not for the purpose of settlement, and therefore they are not eligible to bring their dependents to Hong Kong. In fact, the relevant policy is publicly publicated and known to foreign domestic helpers before they apply to work in Hong Kong. So that is our response.
Thank you. I think then we might need the remaining time for the questions under the OPAC, the OPAC, the Optional Protocol on Children in Armed Conflict, to be asked by our rapporteur, Mr. Benyam Mezmoud. They will be answered during the afternoon. As I said before, we'll set aside some time for the Macau government and possibly some more answers, or hopefully some more answers from the mainland Chinese government also during the afternoon. Yeah, because the Macau delegation will stay on. I want to give the rapporteur. I would like to give the floor to the rapporteur, Mr. Mezmoud. Do you have a comment before that?
只是一句话的解释。
Only one explanation that the head of delegation said, I see my colleagues from the Macau SAR, they have some sentiments of doubts. In our delegation, we had some communication that the time in the morning is for Hong Kong SAR. In the afternoon, the time would be allocated to the Macau SAR. That is our internal result of internal cooperation and coordination. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much. It's your agreement among you, that's true. But then you communicated to me, and that's why we could go on with Hong Kong for a longer time than we had thought. Then I give the floor to Mr. Benyam Mezmoud, who is the rapporteur for the OPAC.
Thank you very much, Chair. This is the first time that I'm taking the floor, so I welcome the whole delegation. I will raise a number of questions in relation to the report under the optional protocol on the involvement of children in armed conflict. There are a number of points that I can go on and on in congratulating and commending the state party, but in the interest of time, I generally say thank you for the report, and we commend you for submitting the report and also for responding in part to our list of issues. As a precursor, I would like to mention that in their response, the delegation can take it for granted that we have read the report. We fully have gone through the list of issues as well. If some issues happen to be raised again, it's because the list of issues haven't addressed them in a comprehensive manner, or because the state party report doesn't give concrete in a concrete manner in relation to the issues that I'm going to raise right now. That said, I would like to start with the preparation of the report. Under paragraph 10, the state party report indicates the government organs that have been involved in the preparation of the report. It says Chinese social organizations and individual experts have been involved in giving response and giving inputs in the amendment. Does this mean civil society organizations were fully participated in the report? Has there been any role for the media, for instance, in the preparation, but also the dissemination of the document and the report? My other question relates to the legal status of the optional protocol in the internal law of the state party. We take note that this has been clearly indicated in a paragraph in the state party report, but that paragraph doesn't indicate to us whether or not the provisions of the optional protocol can be directly invoked before courts and applied by national authorities in the state party. So can you provide us with any explanation in that regard? I move on to coordination. Again, the state party report gives some information. The list of issues, unfortunately, makes only reference to the state party report's paragraphs and tries to go in a more circular manner. That's why this question is raised again. The organs that are primarily responsible for implementing the optional protocol are listed in paragraph 21, and the subsequent paragraphs highlight what their role is. But it only answers the question of what. It doesn't answer the question of how and the question of why. So how is the coordination between these 10 organs effectively done? Who has the ultimate responsibility and the role for coordination? Are there any challenges in coordination? So these are some questions that I would like to raise in relation to coordination. The state party report in paragraph 17 says China has no plans at the present to raise the lower age for voluntary recruitment to 18 years of age. This is paragraph 17. Does this continue to be the position today as we speak, September 2013? What is the reason for this position? There have been some reports from different sources saying that the demographic change that is happening in China, the fact that there is a growing number of older persons but very limited number of younger persons, particularly fueled by the one-child policy, which these reports indicate is being considered by the government as being a threat to the national security and the capacity of the army in China to defend itself. Is this one consideration why the age is not being considered to be moved to the age 18? On the point of legal minimum age, China clearly indicates that the legal minimum conscription age is 18. The minimum voluntary enlistment age appears to be 17. However, China's binding declaration in the optional protocol seems to contain a somewhat unclear or contradictory statement that citizens who have not yet reached 17 by December 37 of a given year may be recruited for active service. So the question here is this a contradictory information, or can the government shed some light on this point that has been entered as a declaration and some of the information that has been entered in the State Party report? The other point that I would like to raise here, which pertains to paragraph 14 of the State Party report, it says the age limit for militia cadres may be applied flexibly. May be applied flexibly. What does this mean? So we would like to get clarity if this means that the minimum age limit can be lowered than what is provided under your law. The State Party has established procedures to verify the ages of incoming recruits. This is very commendable. The State Party report goes in further detail in substantiating this. But taking into account the relatively low level of birth registration, especially among migrant children in the State Party, which may be impacted by the effectiveness of this procedure, what are the additional safeguards that are being put in place? What happens, for instance, where there is doubt about the age of a person, or if there is conflicting information on the basis of documents that are being produced to verify the age of a child? How do you ensure that, in compliance with the optional protocol, that when deploying, efforts are put in place to use children more or less as a measure of last resort? Nationwide, the document gives indication that an average of 20 to 25 persons between the ages of 17 and 18 are recruited. Is it possible to provide current statistics on the number and percentage of armed force recruits aged 18 and under 18? Is the number of under 18s decreasing as per the CRC's recommendation to prioritize recruitment of the eldest? If not, why not? I want to move on to issues pertaining to training and education. Going through the State Party report and the list of issues, I would like to raise a concern that military training is included in the mainstream education curriculum. This is information that we've been able to solicit from other sources. And also schools provide compulsory military education and training activities, including in particular on the handling of firearms for all children under 18 years of age. Is this information accurate? And what's the position of the State Party to address this situation if it is indeed happening on the ground? And I want to move on to two very important and critical issues. The first one pertains to the role of the government of China in relation to the Security Council in addressing the issues pertaining to the involvement of children in armed conflict. The State Party report gives some detailed information on how China is using its permanent seat in the Security Council to address issues pertaining to children in armed conflict. But I do believe that there is a lot of room for improvement. I can give an example of how China can support the mandate of the Special Representative of the Secretary General on the involvement of children in armed conflict. How is China planning to use its position in the Security Council to further strengthen the mandate of the Special Representative? There was a vote that took place last month, which China voted against. That vote clearly limits the role that the Special Representative can play in addressing children in armed conflict-related issues. So is the government trying to take measures to ensure that its position in the Security Council is used to promote the implementation of the optional protocol in all countries all over the world that had state parties to it? The other question, which will be my last question for now, taking into account the time, relates to small arms. The State Party report gives detailed response on the position of the State Party in relation of the sale of small arms, particularly pertaining to exports. You have also given further details on the list of issues. But the question remains, in concrete manners, what is the government trying to do and what are the measures that the government is putting in place, and what are the considerations that are being put in place to make sure that economic interests and political considerations do not triumph over children's rights considerations? What do you do to make sure that these small arms particularly do not reach those countries that are not necessarily on the Security Council agenda, but still run the risk of affecting children in armed conflict in a number of corners of the globe? Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mesmoud. We'll now finish and have a lunch break until 15 or until 3 p.m. Where we will have more answers from Macau first and then more answers from China, both on the CRC and on the OPEC. So, see you all again at 3 o'clock and enjoy your lunch.